Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about hunger. So in the last three videos, we talked about team IQ, we talked about team EQ, and team hand cue or execution. So, how good is your team? How smart is your team? How emotionally connected and stable is your team? And how well do they execute the basics? You can think about those. The fourth component I want to add to that piece, and I originally didn't think about this in the series. I happened to reread an article that I wrote about in May, so it was less than a year ago. And in it, I talked about the missing ingredient in teams is hunger. In the article, I discussed the finals. Well, actually, it was the semifinals game between Boston and Cleveland, and Rockets and Golden State Warriors. So those two games. What happened in the Boston game was they had a much younger team, very talented team. Cleveland's team kind of sucked, and LeBron James had to carry the team on his back. The Rockets and the Golden State Warrior final game of that series, Game 7, it was tied at 3-3, and in Game 7, the first half, it was pretty much tied. They came out of the second half of that game, and pretty much Golden State Warriors just took the game over. And in it, I discussed the idea of hunger. James Harden is a wonderful basketball player, but he couldn't do everything, and he wasn't enough. Like James was enough to beat Boston and eventually lose to Golden State Warriors. James was not good enough to win over the Golden State Warriors, which was a lot more talented team. But I think that in the article I discussed the idea of hunger has nothing to do with status. It doesn't have anything to do with whether you're rich or poor. I mean, we're talking about multimillionaires. So for somebody who's a multimillionaire to get themselves motivated enough to execute at a high level, that's pretty impressive, So it's like you don't have to do this, but you do it because you want to. You're hungry. So, if you think about that team, that ideal team we're building, we talked about the smartness of the team, how well they get along, how well they play together, how emotionally connected and able to intrapersonal examine themselves, look at their strengths and weaknesses, and same thing with their team, interpersonal communication, be able to be strong in both of those, and then executing the basics, the hand cue as I call it. And the last thing I want to say, you could execute. You could have a smart team. You can have an emotionally smart team, but without that hunger, sometimes you might not overcome the challenges that come in business place or in sports. I tend to give sports analogies because they're easier to observe some principles that we see in business. I think, like I said many times, I watch games and I don't really care who wins. I watch games to see what ideas I can get out of it. And if I look at in the first three videos, I talked about the Patriots game against the Rams, and there was not a lot of difference in hunger. So I really couldn't use that idea in those three videos. I could talk about the IQ, the EQ, and the hand cue, but I couldn't really talk about the hunger because both teams were hungry. This was a Super Bowl, and they both were hungry. There's only one game, not like an NBA final where you got 7 games to win 4. So it was a one and done. So you better be hungry, and I think both teams came out hungry. It's just one team executed a little bit better than the other. So I wanted to kind of add that piece to your thinking, that hunger also has to be a part of the team. How badly do they want to execute what you're asking them to execute? If they don't, then I don't care how smart the team is, how emotionally connected it is, how willing it is to execute. If they don't really want it bad enough, they're not going to execute. That's all I wanted to add to your piece of thoughts, and hopefully enjoy the evening. Take care.